So, hello everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining the Foundation for Animal Care and Education's webinar on dog body language and massage, presented by Lynn Webb of the Proficient Pup. My name is Annie Peterson, and I'm the Education Manager for the FACE Foundation and will moderate today's webinar. The FACE Foundation is a nonprofit organization that helps to prevent economic euthanasia in our community due to financial limitations of their pet parents. Before we get started, I just wanted to note a few things for those of you who may or may not be familiar with Zoom. All of you are muted to avoid background noise, and the camera feature is turned off so we can focus all of our attention on our speaker. You will have an opportunity to ask questions throughout the presentation by typing them in using the chat feature. Questions will be answered toward the end of the presentation. We'll leave a few minutes for that. When typing your question into chat, you will have two options. One will say everyone, and the other will just have my name. If you would like your question to be anonymous, please use my name only to send your question, and then I will relay it to Lynn. So just a little bit about Lynn. She is a dog trainer and canine massage therapist who lives in Escondido. And she is certified as a dog trainer through the Karen Pryor Academy and as a massage therapist through the Rocky Mountain School of Animal Acupressure and Massage. Lynn worked at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park for 15 years, where she worked as an educator and zookeeper. Thank you, Lynn, for being with us, and the screen is yours.
Oh boy. Okay, well, hello everybody, and thanks for joining us and me to do this presentation. I'm super excited. So I feel like I know my topic really well, but sometimes the technology gets away from me, so I'll do my best. All right, so starting out, hopefully you can all see my slideshow, and I think Annie's always going to tell me like if we can't. So I don't see myself, but hopefully you can see me. Annie, can you see me?
I see you, and it's good so far.
Okay, good, perfect, excellent. Okay, so I can't see myself, so I just hope everything's good. Okay, so so just wanted to start out. This is my pup, and she's got some cute little body language going on right there. That's clearly well, I don't even know that that's a please touch me. That's just I'm sleepy and feeling pretty comfortable. So I know Annie just went through a little bit about me, but I thought I'd tell you as well, who even am I? I did get my bachelor's from UC San Diego. I got my master's degree at University of Colorado Boulder. Both of those were in history because that's kind of what I was into at that time. And then I went to work at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park as Annie was mentioning, and I did a lot of things there. So I started out as a ticket seller, but I also worked as a tour guide. I prepared diets for the bird department. I did zookeeping work for a while there, and then I worked in the education department and did all the showing of the animals on stage, so that was pretty fun. And I did some training there as well. And then I decided to start my own company in January of 2015 after I had gotten certified through Karen Pryor Academy. So there in 2014 is when I got this little girl here that you see. That's Charlotte. And so my husband and I adopted her, and she had some, she came with some behavioral issues, I guess you would call them. And at that time, so I'd been working with animals for a long time, but I was not a dog trainer at that time. In 2014, I was not, but I was, had been working for a long time with animals. And so the information I got off the internet about how to, I don't know if deal's the right word, but how to kind of manage or to understand some dog behaviors, there was a lot of not great stuff out there. And fortunately, I already knew a lot, again, just having worked with animals, so I could read some things and just be like, oh, that's not the right way. But I do understand that a lot of people who don't have that background are going to read some of that information online and think that that's appropriate, or not even just not knowing which way to go. Do I have to do this, but then this is contradictory information, and which one do I follow? So So I decided, you know, when I wanted to help my dog and help my relationship with my dog, or our dog, my husband always says, that's she's my dog too. So our dog, and I wanted to, you know, get some good information. I thought, you know what, there must be some way to get some good stuff. And so I looked into Karen Pryor Academy and got certified through there. And then after that, about a year later, I got certified through Rocky Mountain School of Animal Acupressure and Massage. And that was because I wanted to incorporate some massage into my training, so that for dogs that were very nervous or frightened, that eventually they might feel good enough to be able to, because the dog, as I'll talk about today, the dog has to feel comfortable enough with me for me to put my hands on the dog. So sometimes it's just me being able to tell a client how to do that themselves, and that can be very helpful. So that's who I am. All right, so we'll just dive right in. So we're gonna be, I'm gonna be talking to you about signals. So body language in dogs is the same as body language in humans. We give off a lot of signals that are gonna communicate emotions, right? So I just listed a few here: fear, anger, frustration, got to put a good one in there, joy, and then annoyance, pain, some excitement. So all the signals that dogs, all the signals that humans have to show those emotions. We feel those emotions inside and then we express them on the outside. Dogs are doing the same thing, but they are giving signals, and we just, if you don't know what they are and you don't know how to pick them up and you don't know how to read them, then you can't understand them, you miss them. And so it's be the same as us communicating to somebody like, stop, I don't like that, and then they continue doing it. That wouldn't feel very good to us. Anytime we say stop or don't, or I don't like that, or hey, that's fun, being able to show all those signals like, oh, I do like that, and then having somebody not even being able to read that, so they just plow through your nose, N-O-S, no, it's not this nose, they plow through your stops, and they don't necessarily read your go-aheads. And so that can create a lot of conflict between us and our dogs, and frustration as well on both sides, right? So the dog is going to be frustrated that they aren't getting listened to, and we're going to get frustrated that we're not being listened to. And it's really a block in communication because we're not able to read each other. So they're not able to pick up a book or watch a webinar on human signals, although they pick up quite a bit, but we are able to learn more about them to be able to communicate with them well. So so what we do is we take these signals and we interpret them, right? So we'll go, oh, my dog's wagging her tail. My dog's wagging her tail. So that must mean she's happy. And then we can put a label on that and go, my dog's happy when this happens. The problem is that a wagging tail does not always mean contentment or excitement. It can, but doesn't always. So a lot of it is you have to take in the context, which we'll talk about, of the environment, and also the rest of what the body is doing, right? So if for example, for my dog, if she sees something outside that she's super interested in, the screen door is there so she can't go further, she's gonna have her chest forward and up, and her ears are gonna be up, and she's got her closed mouth. She's looking like she wants to go through that screen door, and she'll just stand there, and all the front whole part of her body just looks like she's amped to go run out there. And I know she's going to go bark because of my experience with her, but she's amped to go, but then her tail is wagging, right? So if I didn't know better, I could read that and go, oh, look, she's happy to go out there and interact with those dogs, which I know is not true. So that tail is really just showing like an arousal, an excitement level, but not in necessarily a good way. So at any rate, if we take signals and we don't understand and we don't put them into context like that of what's going on outside, is there a dog there? What is it that my animal, my dog is thinking, or not even what they're thinking, because we don't know that, but what is it? What's the context of the environment that they're reacting to? And if we just kind of guess, or we aren't sure, then we put a label on them, and then those labels can define our dogs. It puts them in a box almost. So you may even think to yourself, like, I hear it many times from my clients, oh, my dog is stubborn, or my dog is lazy, or my dog is fine with that. So it doesn't always have to be a negative, or my dog is happy when she sees this. So those are just labels that can put it in a box where we just put it away and go, oh, my dog is lazy. And then you put that on the shelf, my dog is lazy. And then it sits there, and they can't ever get out of that box. And so it's really important to kind of take in a little bit more of what they're communicating and put it into each situation so you can better understand what your dog is communicating. So as I say there at the bottom, labels can limit our understanding of the reason for the behavior or the emotion that they're feeling, right? So that's really important. So I made this nifty infographic a few years ago to kind of express that, using words like aggressive, mean, stubborn, tricky, sly, naughty, lazy, slow, and selfish. Those are just a sample. When you use labels like that or words like that, you decide who your dogs are, and then it's harder for them not to appear that way, even though they don't know those labels, right? We are putting those labels on them. So we don't give them as much opportunity to appear any other way than how we see them. Works the same for humans, right? We have labels for humans, like, well, there's that guy in the office and he's always pushy, right? There's a label there. And there may be very good reasons or different reasons that person comes across that way. And his behavior is probably founded in something else. But we may not worry about taking the time to do that. But with our animal, our companion, an animal, we have a relationship, our dog, we have a relationship with them, it's worth taking the time to figure that out. So I just say there on the bottom, before you put that label on, just think a little bit about what it is, what the behavior that they're doing or not doing, and then why that might be. So in the example I put there, if they're barking at another dog, is your dog aggressive, or is it that your dog is just barking in the way that they know how? So this was just my way of letting people know that it's important just kind of dive in a little bit deeper than what's on the surface. And so that's what you're doing here today. We're going to learn about body language and then how that can help our relationships with our dogs and our ability to communicate with them. That's important. So all dogs, like humans, are allowed to say no. So sometimes my clients will pause at that and say, well, I don't really want my dog to say no. And I said, that's right. We don't really want our dogs to say no. So it's not about forcing them to say yes. It's about giving them the opportunity to say yes, right? So that's what we can do for them. We give them the opportunity to say yes. We want them to say yes. And so if they're saying no, there's probably a good reason. So I want to know if a dog is saying no, if I'm training or doing anything or giving a massage and the dog says no, I want to think about why that might be. So here I listed just a few. So one could be, if I'm asking a dog to do something, they could just be confused. They don't understand what I want, so they don't do it. So take, for example, we'll just keep it super simple, like a sit. We ask our dog to sit and they don't sit. One, are they confused by that? Do they understand what we're looking for? Two, does your dog know the actual behavior of sitting? That's something to consider. Or do they even know that the word sit means put their butt on the ground? So that's important to know. Three, is the dog distracted by something? Maybe there's a lot going on. Maybe there's some children screaming next door and having a good time. And so your dog is kind of watching what's going on in there. And you say sit, and your dog's like, I can't sit right now. There's some stuff going on over there I'm not so sure about. So that could be a reason. Four would be that they're physically or psychologically incapable or uncomfortable. Physically being uncomfortable, if maybe your dog has an injured knee or an injured hip and they're not able to sit maybe the way you want them to. So you'd like a nice straight sit and they're sitting on the side a little bit. So are they even capable of sitting a straight sit versus kind of having one, slouching to one side? And like I mentioned, psychologically also uncomfortable if dogs have a lot of fear going on or something's bothering them. They're worried about something that matters as well. So those are all really important things to keep in mind. When I do massages, obviously I don't necessarily think that a dog is going to be confused about what I want, and not giving them any cues. they may be distracted, but I'm probably the distraction. And then I'm going to probably look at 4 and say, well, they're probably psychologically uncomfortable. If I'm getting ready to massage a dog and they're looking away from me or moving away from me, they're probably feeling uncomfortable that a stranger is putting hands on them in a very familiar way. So even dogs, I've seen dogs I've worked with before that that are very friendly towards people, but when a stranger comes in and now we're petting them in a different way, it's not just a quick pet around the head, it's slow movements over the shoulders, down the legs, over the hips. And it can get unnerving for some dogs. And if they, I'm going to be showing a massage video later in this webinar, but if a dog is, showing me that they're feeling uneasy, I'm going to take my hands off. And sometimes dogs are like, boop, and they just up and walk away. So the dog might be feeling comfortable at first, and then it's just like, that's enough. I've had enough. It's been 6 minutes and I've known you for 2 of those. So I got to go. And so that I take that into consideration when I'm working with dogs, whether I'm massaging them or training them. I've had plenty of times where I'm working with a dog in training, and they, depending on the individual dog, may just up and stop and walk away. And we're going to talk about some of what that looks like. Not even just physically walking away, but kind of mentally walking away and checking out. So here's another picture of my doggie. So this is Charlotte. So ways in which a dog says no. I mentioned some of these already. Turns their head away, they can walk away, they freeze altogether and they don't want to move. So they just stop there. And sometimes that can be confusing because we can look at that and go, oh, look, the dog looks fine. So what I think about the word fine is the same way I feel about it when we describe that to each other as humans. You know, you come up to your friend and you're like, how are you doing today? It was fine, right? Fine. That probably doesn't mean they're doing well. Fine doesn't really mean we're doing well. So that word fine doesn't really mean what it sounds like it means when we use it with each other. So the same is true for dogs. Clients will say, oh, well, she or he was fine with this. And then I ask for a little bit more, well, what's the description of some body language? Can you tell me some of what it looked like physically that the indications the dog was giving you that they were okay with this? So then once the person starts to think about that, it becomes a little bit clearer that maybe the dog was not so fine. And one of those things that's really hard to read is just not moving at all. And so it can look like a dog is okay with something because they're not moving away. We expect, well, if they don't like it, they'll move away, but not always. Sometimes they will hold still and just, it's that idea of like, well, if I don't know what else to do. I'm not really feeling like walking away will work for me. So I'm just going to stay and kind of close in on myself. So that's really good to keep in mind. They can also get to a level where they are barking, nipping, or biting. Those tend to be ways of saying no that we are there. That's not confusing to us whatsoever. So, right, if I get a lot of clients who call me and say, well, this is happening, my dog is barking or nipping when I try to do this, or air biting, or those kinds of things, or even grabbing onto me or grabbing onto my clothing. So that dog is trying to say no in a way that gets listened to. And we tend to listen to that. Like a barking dog, we will sometimes stop, or a dog that's kind of air biting, oh, we'll stop. So when the dogs learn that, they go, oh, that they get, that they understand. They didn't understand all these other signals I gave them, but they understand when I bark, and they understand when I growl, and they understand when I nip. That gets through to them. So they can start to depend on the communication that works for them, how they feel that they can communicate best, that this 2-legged animal has a particular language, and they're doing their best to communicate. They're doing all the stuff that they're breeding and their DNA tells them to do. And then this 2-legged animal doesn't understand. So they will find the thing that the 2-legged animal understands. Unfortunately, if we don't read those early things, it's the later stuff. We go, whoa. And by then, quite a bit of communication has been going on. I just want to explain this little picture. It's cute because I just took this last week, and I was eating some popcorn, and sometimes I share popcorn with my puppy. And I was all done, and I gave her the all done signal, which means I'm all done, like a Vegas dealer. I'm all done, and there's no more. And that look was A, you gotta be kidding me, you're lying. And B is, I never liked you anyway. So she clearly was just not super excited with me. But she wasn't nervous or worried or any of those things. And I was not asking her to do any of those things. She wasn't really telling me no. She was telling me that she didn't believe my no. So just wanted to explain that there, but it was so cute I threw it in. Okay. So more language. Now we're getting into some more language. Context, really, really, really important is context. So you'll see lots of photos on the internet and there's lots of pictures. I only included one in this presentation. I'll be showing you a photo and then a video as well. But I've got some other images to show you as well. But context really, really matters because you can see a dog that might have a large open mouth with their tongue hanging out, and you would think, gosh, that's a happy puppy. And then the story behind it or the context might be like, oh my gosh, we went through a block of dog after dog after dog. And I took this picture right afterwards. So now somebody that knows that information might feel like, oh, that dog was really stressed and is actually panting. So it looks like an open mouth that's maybe smiling would then look, in the context of information, would look like the dog is stressed. So that's really important, is taking into context of the environment as to what your dog is saying. Same as humans, right? So because we might laugh at something, and in one context, somebody might say, oh, that person was having a good time, they were laughing. But then we know that we also laugh when we're nervous, or we laugh when things might not be going well, or we laugh at inopportune moments when we're having trouble dealing with something in front of us, we might laugh. And so that wouldn't be that we were having fun. So you get it, there's context for everything. So some of these I just listed off here that are very contextual. Lip licking, that can be a sign of some stress in some dogs and some nervousness. You might even be saying, no, yeah, my dog licks their lips when certain things happen. Your dog is eating a snack or you're fixing food and they're looking at you and they lick their lips. That's probably they're salivating and getting ready and ready to eat, or they just finished, and that it's all good stuff, right? But if you're asking them to do something, maybe you go outside and you ask them, who knows, to come when called, and your dog looks at you and starts licking their lips, they're nervous about something. Maybe they're nervous about coming to you. Maybe they're nervous about something else in their environment. So out of context, that is a good cue to us that the dog is feeling uneasy. Scratching, that's an odd one to really think that would mean anything other than just scratching an itch. But again, depends on context. Of course, dogs can scratch itches all the time. But again, I see this if I'm introduced to a new, if I'm introduced to a new dog and the dog is meeting me for the first time as well, and we're interacting and the dog starts scratching at themselves, unless the dog has allergies, and I'll usually ask the client if the dog has allergies, unless they really have allergies and that's a very everyday normal sorts of behavior for them, I'm going to take that as just feeling a little anxious about the training that we're doing. But that's really important for me to see and not go further and go, oh, the dog's scratching. Let me get either some physical space from this dog, or we'll give the dog a break before we go further. That's really important. Shake off, another good one. Shake off if a dog is wet, right, and needs to shake off water. That makes sense. Otherwise, if you may notice it right now, you're like, yeah, whenever I come back from a walk, whenever we come back in the door into the house, my dog will shake off. So it's much like Taylor Swift, and you're just shaking off those bad feelings or that anxiety you might have, you're shaking it off. So that's very similar to what dogs were doing. It's an indication that there was some stress or some sort of like tension there. It's not a horrible thing. I don't see it and go, oh no. I just feel like, okay, that whatever we were just doing, the dog was feeling some tension, or the dog is feeling some tension. But I like it when I see it. Like, I like a shake off because it means the dog is trying their best to kind of take it easy and feel better. So it's a good thing to see. It's better to see these signals than not at all, for dogs that are very nervous and anxious. So some of the most dangerous dogs are going to not be showing those signals anymore, and they're not trying, they can no longer try to help themselves feel better, and they just go straight for the you know, those are the ones you hear where it's just, there was a switch, there was no indication. The dog was like this and the dog was like that. So we want to see something so we can kind of along the way go, oops, okay, let's bring you back down. Yawn is another one of those. If I'm working with a dog, or if I'm even massaging a dog and I've got my hands on the dog starts yawning. Again, it's not first thing in the morning. They didn't just wake up from a nap. They're not ready for bed. Those are all contextual. That makes sense. The dog's going to yawn. Just, I happen to pet the dog and the dog yawns. That's probably an indication the dog's trying to tell me, you know what? I'm not super digging what you're doing right now, whether it's training or massage or whatever. And so I need to read that and respect that and go, okay, that's a yawn. I get that. I get what you're doing. You're trying to calm yourself down and your things are bugging you a little bit. So I'm going to back off. And a sneeze is a good one. That's my dog's favorite. So I see this with her when we train, and I'm not fast enough for her. And we'll be doing something. And if I, especially now, if I'm doing online things and I'm trying to talk to my class and show something at the same time. So if I'm doing something with my dog and I'm looking at the camera and I'm talking and explaining something, my dog's going to sneeze at me because she's like, come on, let's go. Stop talking to those people. It's our session right now and we need to go, go, go. And it's a sign of frustration for sure. It isn't just, it's not a cute thing. I mean, I guess it's nice that it's just a little sneeze, but I know that she's getting irritated. And so what's going to happen, I can expect, is that if I don't try to help her through that or just let her know, try to bring her back and go, okay, I'm going to work with you and do these things, or we'll take a break first and we can work some more. She's going to keep getting bothered more and more, so that her behaviors that I'm asking her to do are going to decrease in skill level. Like she won't be able to do those as well because now she's getting frustrated and irritated with me. So even though she wants the treats that she's working for. And so if she's sneezing and getting frustrated and I'm not responding to her, her frustration is going to go up. And as her frustration goes up, her skills, her ability to do the behavior that I want well is going to lessen. So again, really important to watch those. Okay, moving on. So I want to show you some of these infographics from Lily Chin. So you may or may not be familiar with her. She's great. She's an artist. And the reason I went with these instead of photos, because she does put some of this stuff into context, which I'm not able to do with every photo that's on the internet. Plus some of those photos, frankly, on the internet are quite bothersome. And so I didn't want to go hunting for those. But just to show you a few, you can look at these yourself. You can also go to her website, Lily Chin's website, and she has these. She has posters. You can purchase the posters, but you can also download these for free, which is awesome. So you can get these on your own. I'm showing you a couple others after this, and it'll be the same. So I just wanted to show you a few of these. So some are kind of hard to see, where like the first two, alert and suspicious, it's just a change in the stance of the body, and you can see some hair raising up on the back of the neck. Anxious is pretty easy to read, right? We don't have a problem usually reading that. Threatened can be obvious as well. That angry, again, it's going to be hard. It's contextual. So the fact that the dog's lunging forward, but also those ears are back and kind of the brow is furrowed. So that can be harder to read, but again, context. The piece that she says, that's just kind of the, I'm not bothering looking at you anymore. There's the open mouth, stressed. And then the lip lick, so the yawn and the lip lick, or nose lick, she calls it. Sniffing at the crown, kind of, again, sniffing is one of those things. The dog could just be sniffing, or the dog's trying to avoid their environment. Go through a few more of those. You can see the scratching one there, it's feeling stressed. I'm going to show you, sorry, go back to the third row and the one on the left, that needing space, that whale eye. I'm going to show you a picture of that whale eye because probably a lot of you have seen it, and that's one that easily gets overlooked a lot, and it's quite clear. Once you see it, you'll know it, and dogs are really, it's very obvious, whereas some of the other ones can be kind of misinterpreted. That one's dead on. So you can see some relaxed, some soft ears, the blinky eyes there. Sometimes that can mean stress, and I'll show you in the video that I'm going to be showing. let's see some other ones. Friendly, friendly, pretty please, I'm your love bug with the belly open. That one's pretty obvious, but the ears are very relaxed. The body posture is very relaxed because we're going to see that belly up does not always mean a relaxed posture. We got the pray bow or the play bow. Usually people are pretty clear on that one. Curious, happy, joyed, and all that good stuff, scratching the rear end with that's pretty good. And then just going through some of these other ones. Again, she puts a little context in there where that she's got that alert again for the third one that you see on there in the first row, that lifting of the paw. Sometimes that can mean a please, sometimes that can just mean I'm not feeling so at ease. So it's sort of like a placating move to just kind of a signal to be like, oh, I'm just, you know, like, don't be upset, don't be angry. So my dog does that a lot, not because I get upset and angry with her, but if she feels tension at all, she'll just come over and she does that automatically. We got her when she was 5, so that's probably something that she learned early on to help make people feel more at ease, because when a dog gives us their paw, suddenly we're like, oh, I was upset with you, but now I'm not. So dogs have found that that works for them. So even though she doesn't have a reason necessarily to use that with me, she still has that as part of her vocabulary. And I do listen to it when she's offering that paw. She's coming up to me right now. She's like, oh, you're talking about me. Okay, so we got some of the other same things there. Yawning. There was something else I wanted to mention in here. Let's play. Oh, there. So she has the third one in the last row, that that submission, or it says, or rub my belly. So that can be it can be a very much like a, oh, rub my belly, or it can be a, I give up, I don't know what else to do. So I'm just gonna kind of show you my belly and hope that that communicates to you that I'm not interested in any conflict. So again, context is gonna be really important. I'm working with a dog right now that, you know, and fortunately he's not doing that to me anymore, but every time he would come up to me, he just flipped right over into that belly up right away. And so people tend to love that, but I just read it right away where I was like, oh, I don't want to see that behavior. I don't want that dog to come up to me and go belly up right away. He doesn't know me. He's not telling me to rub his belly. I'm a perfect stranger. So what he's saying is, I want to come see you. I'm coming close to you, but now I feel like it's all too much. So belly up. And so actually now I've gotten it so the dog can approach me and I don't see any belly up, and I love it. I love it. I want to see that dog coming to me and looking very loose. So that's going to be more pleasing. Okay, so here's that whale eye, and a little bit of a story, not too much, but that my friend who will put costumes on her dogs, not every day, but every once in a while, and feels like they look and seem to be at ease in those costumes. So she will infrequently put one on them just to take a picture or whatever. But she had just purchased this one and put this on her dog. So some people might go, oh, that's cute. The dog's wearing a little sparkly thing. So there's that whale eye right there. So showing the whites of the eye and looking away, but her face is facing another direction. So what happened here, and this is a beagle pug mix, or what they call a puggle. So what is happening here, normally those ears would be forward and very flappy, like a beagle's ears. She's a little more beagle than pug. So they'd be very flappy and loose. So you can see those ears are pinned back to the side. She's looking over at the camera or her mom, but not really facing like she's interested. It's very much a picture of, I'm not feeling at ease. And so what's happened is that all those sparkles that you see in the back there, that's all a reflection from what's going on the costume. So it scattered all this light, which my friend was not expecting. And she said that her dog was just like, oh, trying to avoid. So she's looking away from those sparkles on the reflection on the wall. She's also in a sit. And I asked her, I said, what happens normally when your dog gets the costume on? And she said, oh, normally she'll stand up. She's, kind of excited, and she'll stand up and she lets me take a picture, but she just wasn't feeling that. She was avoiding the reflection, and holding still. So there's the stiffening right there, the whale eyes accompanied by the stiffening or freezing. And she said that she was sitting and she wouldn't get up, like she wouldn't get out of that sit. So even though my friend was trying to, because my friend is not a trainer, so she didn't realize that that the dog was so bothered that the dog wasn't wanting to stand. But so she asked a couple times and the dog wouldn't get up. So, but she wasn't growling. But you do see that closed mouth there. That closed mouth is not a happy, I'm feeling good about this costume. So you can see it's pretty clear there, but if you didn't know the context, you might just think like, oh, that's just a dog picture. But once you start to understand context and that you look for that whale eye, I'm telling you, I'll ruin the internet for you today. The more you see that whale eye photos with dogs with kids or dogs in certain situations, you're gonna be like, boom, that dog is not feeling great. And then here's a couple more infographics that we'll go through. And so lip licks, panting. I had a lot of these crossover, but I just wanted to make sure I can get to some of the big ones. Not eating there on the bottom left, suddenly won't eat, but was hungry earlier. I have many clients who will say my dog is not food motivated. Every animal is food motivated because we need it to survive. So typically, unless there's something medically wrong with the dog, typically a cessation of eating a treat when the dog just was eating earlier is an indication that they're feeling stressed. So again, that will often happen where I'm doing some training and the dog will be taking hot dogs and doing great things. And then all of a sudden, if I asked for something and the dog did not feel at ease, the feeding just stops. And so a client might say like, see, that's what happens all the time. She'll just switch off. And so I go, well, that doesn't just happen. So that something's going on in the body that's like, it's not safe right now for me to eat, so I'm gonna stop. So again, really another important thing to be able to see in your animal, to be able to pull back and assess. This last one here on the right, this is really important. Is the dog calm and relaxed, or are they shutting down? These can be really difficult to differentiate, but looking from left to right, and again, these are downloadable. You can go to Lily Chin's website and you can download these. But just a dog being relaxed, the body is open, that back leg is open, versus the one that you see on the right, that frozen, unresponsive, ears are to the side, all kind of squished in. Some information of dogs with other dogs, kind of again, that open mouth, not really, neither dog is looking at each other, which is for dogs very normal. And then versus that belly up, there's the belly up. Oh, I've had enough. There's happy belly rubs there on the left. And then the other tense, oh, what are you doing? I'll just sit here and try and get through it and they'll be done soon. So really important to watch, because a dog can go from that stiff kind of look to a bite really fast if they feel like that's not working for them. The hands aren't leaving my body, even though I'm holding still. Maybe I just kind of reach for them with my mouth and those hands pop off. Boom, that's what they're going to use from then on. And then, you know, there was just this is much harder, this last one, but just kind of a general relaxed looking dog versus one that's kind of, again, hunched in. So if you like those, Lily Chin has a new book coming out. I don't get any sort of money or anything for endorsing, but or for referring or for directing you this way. But yeah, she has this book coming out soon, I think in a couple of weeks. And so there's lots of good stuff in there. I saw some of the inside and it looks really good. And so that could be something that's nice for you to have on your shelf that you can refer back to. Okay, and so I want to show you, we're good on time. I did it. I want to show you a video that I put together of when I did some massage at the San Diego Humane Society. So let me take you over there. And this is where, okay, fingers crossed. Oh, it worked. All right.
You're doing great, Lynn.
I did it.
You did it. I just wanted to add something. This is Annie, sorry. I wanted to add something really quickly before you start the video.
Yeah.
Just asking people to not worry about adjusting their volume because there isn't talking in the video. So as you watch the video, there are going to be some captions, and Lynn will talk through it. I just thought of that. I just want to make sure that people understand that they're not hearing talking on the video because there is no talking on the video. So go ahead, Lynn, sorry.
Okay. No, that's great. No, and I would have forgotten to say that. So yeah, so no worries. And yeah, I might add in some stuff. And what was I going to say? You'll hear some barking. That's the only important part, but you'll see, even if you can't hear or your audio is not working or something like that, you'll get it. But I'll also tell you there's barking going on. So I'll just go ahead and play this. There's a little music there in the background, but so this was a San Diego Humane Society, and I was doing some just volunteer there. This is Ariana. So this was recorded over maybe about a half an hour. So you can see the panting there. Her face is kind of tight. She did the yawn, right? Why would she be yawning in the middle of the day? You can see some facial tension there. She's gonna be holding it, see in the mouth, right around the side of the mouth, what's called the commissure, but just right there around the lips. There's some barking going on. So there's that waggy tail. There's nothing else that tells me she's feeling happy. So that tail is not telling me anything. Lots of barking still going on. So at least she's lying down here. I never ask the dogs to lie down. They lie down when they're ready. There's the lip lick. There's the squinchy eyes that's telling me like she's not necessarily, it could be the camera that's bugging her. It could just be that she's just feeling not at ease, which I already can tell. The face does not look relaxed, right? Like it's all tight. She's listening to things. Here I say she's free to walk away. You know, she can move away. She already had, this is not a shutdown. This is not looking shut down to me. I felt that she had already walked away from me a couple of times. So I felt like she was clear in being able to do that. I wasn't worried about her shutting down. I lean in, see how she's looking, licks those lips right as I leaned in, and then a yawn. She was like, I did not like how you just leaned in right there. So I backed off. Some panting. It wasn't very hot in there, but you get overheated when you're just worried. And when dogs lick themselves, it's a way to soothe themselves. Licking can be a very calming behavior. So she's just trying to kind of calm herself. It's something else she's trying. There she goes, she finally stopped. There, now you can start to see her face relaxing a bit more. There's another little lip lick, not too bad. There's a little better. And the mouth looks a little looser. Sometimes this could be 15, 20 minutes in. Watch her chest right here. In and out. Took a nice breath. That was great. Still watching things, so you can see a dog like this. I wouldn't necessarily I would call her more relaxed than when we started, but she was feeling much better, but I knew that she was still, alert, listening to things, being aware. Oh, there we go. She's almost closing her eyes. So massages can serve different purposes. For this and for the Humane Society dogs, it's all about just relaxing. It's not stimulating at all. It's a relaxing, feel-good activity. Or Lack of activity. This feels good, obviously. Look at that. Sometimes I will test dogs as well by stopping and putting my hands off of them to see what they do, to give them a chance to move away if they want to. And many times the dog will come back to me. If the dog starts standing up, I'll take my hands off. They come back to me. So I can tell that it's something that they're interested in. So she got relaxed. It was nice. And then there you go. That was all her normal before I came in. And it's kind of hard to get back there. There's more barking. So I didn't want to leave then. I wanted to, you know, kind of get back a little bit just to end it. I'm feeling a little good for her. She looks a little bit like my dog, so I was having a good time with her. And then the barking starts again. Okay. All right. So going back. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, wait. Hang on. There we go. I did it. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so that video, and then ta-da, it's the end. I can take some questions now, but I found this photo in my phone. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that I found that on the internet. And my husband looked at that and said, hey, that's me. So, but there's some of my information. If you want to get a hold of me, you can visit my website or call me at that number down there, 504-4324, or just email me at lweb@theproficientpup.com. So, all right, that's it. I can stop.
Thanks, Lynn. We're never sick of hearing about dogs, so no worries about that. So we do have a couple of questions for you.
Good.
That was great, by the way. I love that video with Ariana. It's great to see the different levels of relaxation and then arousal. And okay, so first one is, I have a laboratory rescue beagle. She lived in a cage for the first 7 years of her life. I've had her for the last 3. Her vocal cords are cut, and she was not socialized when I got her. She's made lots of progress, but she still spins in circles when she's anxious, hungry, and needs to go potty. Need help relaxing her and interpreting her cues.
Okay.
So thanks so much. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll try to remember all that because there was a lot there.
I can read some back to you if you
need. Okay, if I get stuck. So with you already have some back information about the dog. So obviously 7 years in a cage is not a good thing. So Annie, I don't know if you want to mute people. There sounds like somebody's mic might be on. So but at any rate, so yeah, so you already have some history and some knowledge about the dog, and then so that's really good to know. But yeah, the things that you're saying that you're seeing, that agitation, the spinning is a big, that's kind of hard to get a dog out of that sequence of spinning. It could have been, not necessarily, but it could have been something that was reinforced. People really like it, or it can just be a nervous behavior that they do. So it sounds like this is probably a nervous behavior that your dog does. So doing some things that are going to help relax your dog. One, you want to make sure that they're in a quieter environment, not necessarily silent, but in a space where they can get some sleep. Dogs need about 18 hours of sleep a day. And so making sure that they get enough sleep, making sure their diet is appropriate for them. And you would need to talk with somebody a little bit more in detail about what it would be specific for your dog and what would be appropriate for your dog, but that's really important. We know diet's important, we know sleep is important. Medications might be an option for you. I don't know, maybe your dog is already on medications. That would be something to talk to your vet about. I am not a vet, so, but that can often help those dogs that are you seem to have, not you personally, but people seem to have trouble bringing dogs down. So when I'm working with dogs, whatever I can do to bring them down first. So I may not even start with training for dogs that are really very agitated and very worried and very frightened. It's just about doing things in their environment to kind of help ease them and make them feel better. One of those things that people are not always aware of is walking their dogs. Walking can be very stressful for dogs, very stressful for dogs. So we often think of it as a way for a dog to get outside, and it looks like they're having fun and they love it because they're lunging. And what dog that's lunging out the front door isn't saying that they want to go out? But there are reasons in lunging, in that behavior in itself, where a dog can be feeling very fearful and worried and is still lunging on a leash and is still lunging to get to things. And so if you are doing your 20-minute walk or half an hour walk where your dog's lunging the whole time and they're feeling very stressed in their environment, that's a whole half an hour part of their day where they're not able to get a chance to relax and settle. So
this is Lynn with Proficient Pup.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. Hang on.
Charlotte. I wanted to.
Yeah, Lynn, I think the background noise is your
Oh, it's
YouTube.
me.
It's still playing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me get there. Hang on.
That's okay. That's okay.
That
You
is
just need
me.
to
I'm like, what's so annoying? Okay, let me, oh my gosh. Okay, let me, I'm so ridiculous. Like, who's the annoying person? I'm the annoying person. Oh my gosh. Like, that
So
sounds
sorry,
like,
but yeah,
okay.
that sounds just like you, Lynn.
and it's funny because now I recognize it. I recognize what video that was. Anyway, so silly. Okay, so yes, so walking can be something really important to pay attention to. So you just, okay, you're seeing me right now, right, Annie? Nothing else?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, so you, so that can be something to pay attention to, the walking. If dogs are agitated by walking, first thing I'll recommend is cease those walks. That can be a big part of taking a lot of tension out of your dog's day. So without knowing more specifics, I hope that can help you a little bit more with your dog, but also some massage that you saw that I was doing, just nice, kind of easy, just helping them feel more at ease, more part of their day, during a larger part of their day than they're feeling anxious. I hope that answers that. So.
That's great. Thank you. We do have a couple more.
Okay.
So next one is, why is it that to train your dog, you need patient repetition with treats to teach the requested behavior? But if they unexpectedly find treats that, for example, accidentally fell out of your pants pocket when you hung them up for years, they'll go back and look for treats under the hanging pants in the closet, even though it only happened once.
Okay, so so it sounds like there are two there. So why are the dogs doing that? But also, why is it needed or wanted to use the treats like that when it can, maybe in this person's view, like that's a negative, right? So you use treats and then for years in the future, your dog is expecting treats from you. So one thing is, yes, I use treats. We all work for a paycheck. We sometimes work for free, but it has to be something, we're getting something out of it in some other way. If we're not getting paid monetarily or with food, sometimes we get paid for our jobs with food. Sometimes we get paid just because we love something, right? So I volunteer at the Humane Society. I don't get money for that, but it brings a lot of enjoyment. So I am getting something for it. So for your dog, if you're asking them to do something like spin around in a circle, 8 times in a row, because you keep asking them, you need to pay that for that, really. I mean, the expectation is if you're not going to pay, why is your dog going to do that? Like, because they love you? Because they respect you? I mean, sure, I guess. But I mean, I love and respect my husband, but if he asked me to spin 8 times in a row, I'd be like, what are you doing? Or I love and respect him, but when I don't always come when he calls me. So, but if he has a bag of M&Ms, I'll probably come every time. So, but anyways, so yes. And that same thing where a dog will remember, like they're interested in food. So they will go back to that spot where they got it before. And they go, wow, I really loved that one time that there was treats in that pocket. So I'm going to keep sniffing because maybe there will be some treats in that pocket for me again. It's sort of like, I think of it like Vegas, right? Not everybody loves Vegas, but I think we can all kind of understand this analogy where there's that slot machine that 20 years ago in this particular hotel in that particular corner, you won 20 bucks on. It doesn't even have to be that much. You won 20 bucks. So 20 years later, you're going to go back and be like, that's the spot where I won 20 bucks. That was my lucky slot machine. And you'd be like, well, that slot machine's not even there. It's a new one. Doesn't matter. That's my lucky spot, because something good happened to you there and you want to recreate it and you just are drawn to it. And that's just sort of that's just an animal behavior. Something good happened there, maybe it'll happen again. So treats are a good thing.
I can completely relate to that Vegas analogy.
Most people can.
Here's another. I have a 14-year-old Boston Terrier who's almost completely blind. She is becoming more aggressive on leash. What is the best way to deal with this behavior and prevent it from escalating?
Okay, so really good question. So it's great, first of all, I love that people who are asking these are saying, like, here's the things I'm seeing, and this is what I think I'm seeing. This is what I'm interpreting it. How do I help? So that's really great. You're seeing something, you're not ignoring it. So again, the context is your dog is blind or losing her vision. And so she's getting more and more anxious as we start to lose our vision. I'm not sure if you were saying she's losing her vision or she was born blind, I'm not sure. But there's going to be some stress involved in that. And if she's becoming more and more anxious on the leash, then there's a reason for that. And I can't say what that reason is. It's in her mind and her head. And there might be things in the environment that I can't see. So I can't really advise you in that way. But if you see that your dog is agitated by something like that, then you can start just change things up. Maybe your dog, if there may be options where it could be where you say, like, okay, well, I'm not going to stress you out by putting a leash on you right now. Maybe you can find a secure space where your dog can get some exercise that they don't need to be leashed up. Or you want to pair it with something that's good. If their dog is feeling agitated about having that leash on, then maybe the next time that you're ready to put that leash on, they're not going to see you, but if you jingle that leash and then give them a treat and jingle the leash and give them a treat, that jingling of the leash no longer is going to maintain the kind of threat or, whatever it might mean to your dog, that they're going for a walk where they can't see anything, and that's very stressful. Now it can be like, oh, I hear the jingling of a leash and I get a treat, and that's really good. And then you work forward from there. But you would need more help than what I'm giving you here. That's just a little bit beginning, but you can always, get a professional trainer to help you with that. I always recommend force-free trainers or positive reinforcement, different ways to be saying that, but those trainers who are not going to be using any sort of aversive tools like choke chains or shock collars or prong collars. Well, that is not going to help with your dog's agitation of being put on a leash for sure. So.
Great. Here's another. My dog wants to lick my eyes. Is that just affection?
Maybe. I'm not sure. Do you like having your eyes licked? That's an important question too. So sometimes in what our dogs are trying to tell us, we have to see if we like it or not. So I don't like getting my face licked by my dog. So she doesn't do it, because if she were to start, I back off, and she's going to read that and go, okay, I get it. I get you. You don't like that behavior, but I'm also not going to stick my face in her face. Probably if I do, she's going to lick me to say, back away from me. So licking can mean different things. So if you're putting your eyes near your dog's face, and so she's licking you on your face, that could be affection. It could be, I need you to back away from me. And again, context is going to be it. Are your dog's ears back? Is your dog look like she's pulling back a little bit and then decides to lick? There's more to it. It's not going to be just one. As you're starting, I think you're all starting to figure out, it's not just going to be one thing. You got to look at the complete picture of what's going on. So it's really hard for me to say whether your dog is into it or not. But yeah, it's something. It's communication for sure.
Okay, I just want to make sure, Lynn, we do have a couple more questions.
Okay, I'm
do
fine.
You have time? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm
great.
fine to stay a couple minutes over if you are. I'm okay.
Okay, Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Another question, just rescued my dog a month ago. When she sees another dog, I'm not sure if I should let them meet. She is crying and howling to get to them.
Okay, so really good question. When a dog is howling and crying to get to another dog, there could be things going on. So it could be that they want to get to the other dog to just smell them and see what they are, to answer questions for themselves, right? That their eyes are not going to answer for them. So because their sense of smell is so strong, they may want to get a little bit closer to be able to smell what's going on. And then decide they want nothing to do with the dog. So I have many people who will say that, oh, my dog will pull and lunge, but then when we get up to the other dog, then they don't care. It's because they really wanted to answer questions for themselves about that dog and then decided, I'm not really interested in dogs. I just wanted to know what was in front of me. So anytime a dog is pulling or lunging, it honestly doesn't 100% matter to me as a trainer if the dog is really excited to get to that animal, other dog, or if they're afraid. The behavior in itself is not one that we want to, or that I as a trainer want to encourage, even if I think that it's something friendly, because stuff can change at any time. And you have to remember the other dog is now looking at this dog that is lunging and whining and doing things. So that dog's going to be reading that dog and sending communication. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on there. And it could be the other dog is sending off information that's like, I don't want you next to me. So it's really important to see the complete picture. But for the most part, I typically, having dogs meet on leash can be very tense. And most adult dogs are honestly not all that interested in necessarily meeting other dogs. That's kind of a huge generalization statement, but it holds true for many adult dogs, but not all. But so that could be going on. So it's good that you're paying attention to that. I would kind of steer your dog away from meeting other dogs in that way, in that manner.
Okay, great. 2 more questions. I have a Chow Chow and English Bulldog. I find it a little hard to know how my Bulldog is feeling. My Chow has anxiety when he is not with my Bulldog. How do you treat his anxiety?
So that's important to know. So I don't know if I fully understand your question, but if it eases one dog to be with another, that in itself is very helpful for that one dog. So it can be difficult sometimes to train one dog without the other one being there, especially if you're giving treats and things like that. But you can get yourself some sort of like an X pen, and so you can have them in the same room, so you can train your one dog while you have your other dog nearby, and vice versa, so that the dog that's feeling a little stressed will still have their companion dog with them. But you know, that's hard, because if one dog's feeling stressed, but it does help the other dog to be nearby, then I usually like to keep those dogs together, because it helps both of them actually.
Okay, so our last question, and you talked about food motivation a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you train a dog who isn't food motivated?
So I'm going to want to look at what that is, why they aren't. So one of the very first dogs that I worked with when I was just starting out as a trainer was a sweetie pit bull. I still know her and I still interact with her mom. But she just came in and she wouldn't take treats. She wouldn't do anything, but she was just adopted not that long before. She had a history, not with that client, of course, but a history of being abused. So this was a dog we just had to take time with. And I had to think about interacting with this dog in a different way. I could tell that the fact that she wasn't taking treats from me, that's a big deal. Like I said, that's a big indicator for me. That's not oh, okay, well, we can do something else. And it's not because I can't train without treats. I mean, that's the important part of training. But even when I'm training with a dog that's really into it and then they stop, that's an indication to me that I need to rethink what I'm doing. I need to stop myself and rethink things the way I'm training. So this pitty that came in after, I think it was the 3rd or 4th session, and I would just scatter treats on the ground every time, just in case. We were in the middle of a conversation, her mom and I were just talking, and I'm not even sure, I can't remember now what it was that we just tried something different. And suddenly that dog just went and took a couple of treats and then like walked away from us. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. She just took treats. It was a huge thing that she just took treats. And then after that, we got a little bit more and more, and we're able to do some training, because really a dog that can't even take treats isn't ready to be thinking and processing information to be able to be trained. Their brain is just not there yet. We gotta help them. Other stuff is going on inside their bodies before we can work with their brain. So I hope that helps.
Well, this was wonderful, Lynn. Thank you so much. I do have a little closing I want to do. I just want to thank everybody for joining the discussion, and for Lynn, I will send out an email with the recording probably in a couple of days, along with a survey we would like everyone to fill out. If you have any other questions we didn't get to, please feel free to email me and we can keep the conversation going. Please stay tuned for more upcoming discussions as part of an educational series FACE will be hosting. My email address is admin, ADMIN, @faith4pets.org. And if you'd like more information about Lynn, I can certainly get that to you. So thank you so much, Lynn, and thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Super fun. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.